Hello, everybody. Welcome to my YouTube channel. Today, I have a great guest, Dr. Damla Sönmez. We are going to talk about her application for green card. Damla got the green card through her husband, her US citizen husband, and I was representing them in this green card application. I thought it would be great if I invited her to my channel, her experiences about this whole green card process. Damla, welcome to my channel.
Thank you so much for having me.
Absolutely. How are you?
I'm good. I'm great.
Can you tell us a little bit about yourself? How did you come to US? In which visa status? And then what are you doing right now?
I came with F-1 visa status to do my master's in University of South Florida. My major is hospitality management, and my master's took only 2 years. And right after that, I started my PhD doctoral program in University of South Carolina. That's in Columbia. That's the city, and that's the reason that I continue having my F-1 visa. And after my doctoral degree, I applied the green card during that process in my last year. And now I'm an assistant professor at Montana State University.
How is the weather like? We're shooting this at the end of October. Is it getting chilly?
It's very chilly and very cold. We got a slush a week ago, probably have snow soon. So
Wonderful, wonderful. Okay, never been to Montana, but would love to see it one day. Let's talk a little bit about the green card application process. I think the first thing that comes to mind is how did you meet your husband?
it was in the beginning month of my doctoral program when I went to Columbia, and we matched on Bumble. It was in my first year in doctoral program. And then we dated for about 2 years. After that 2 years, he proposed me, but it took us again another year to get married because all of my doctoral program and me being very busy. So once we got married after having 3 years of a relationship, we start apply for the green card.
When you decide to apply for a green card application, did you think about maybe applying by yourself, or how did you find me?
That's from Ada, first of all. Ada is my friend, very close friend. We know each other from our childhood. And I saw also the YouTube video you made with Ada. And then I was just, Ada, help me. I want him to handle my case as well. Even though our marriage is something real, I know that. However, those documentation and paperwork and anything that includes law always freak me out because I want to make it almost perfect. So I want to put myself in a very safe zone that I feel this is going to be a successful case from the start.
Yes, Ada is a dear friend now. Used to be my client. Now I call her my friend. She's great. She has a great YouTube channel. She has a wonderful Instagram channel. She's a influencer. And we actually shot a video with her about her application for the green card process. And now we're doing it with you. That's a nice coincidence. It is important, I think, that you're saying that even though you're studying in a PhD program, you know what you're reading, you understand what you're doing, you still wanted to work with an immigration lawyer. I think that's a great advice for those who want to do this, because things are very complicated. They may look simple, but they are not simple at the same time. I remember a couple from UK. They did it themselves. They got a denial, and they told me, please let everybody know we are English majors. We know what we're reading. We understand everything, all the instructions, and even we got it wrong. They said, we think that everybody has to have a lawyer. I wish I had recorded the video with them, but that was a long, long time ago before I started my channel, so I didn't have a chance. But that's great. Okay, when you decided to apply for this green card, you guys were already living together.
Yeah.
So I'm assuming that you already started accumulating some joint documents. That's where I'm going to bring the conversation topic to joint documents. What kind of joint documents did you prepare for this application?
Just because we are living together, we already had the rental agreement. He put me as a driver for the car. That's why my name is also included. I don't know, those car related documents. This is the point that I have no idea with the terms, but what I know, what makes it the most important is actually the signs that showing you were living together, like this is the real relationship. At that point, and still right now, we don't have any shared bank account, for example. Many people would think that, oh wow, not having a shared bank, and that would be an issue. In our case, that was not the issue. We just have our own financial status, and the way we do those bank related things is separately. And I didn't see that put anything bad in our case. What else that I provided as the joint?
I think I remember a lot of photos, a lot of
Oh,
trips.
that's a different story. That's joint life. That's what I could believe. That was helpful for the whomever, the officer or the decision maker. So what I did is from day one to the moment that I provided our documents, all the pictures, but what I also was a little bit careful is not putting so many selfies. So the selfies that I decided to put in that joint document is the ones that we took in the house to show that we were living together. On the other side, I also included a couple of pictures with his dog, but it was our dog at the same time, to show that that's a little bit, a home feeling again. And another luck that happened in our case is Robert went to Turkey twice.
Mhm.
So that's the reason I include all the family pictures, him and my grandma, him and my cousin, not only my mom, father, and brother, but all the other relatives that he could able to meet. So that was a really long document.
It
And
was.
when what is asked from me to do is writing a little bit of explanation, but instead of me putting only the city and time and the people, I also give a little bit of explanation, almost like an Instagram caption to me, to explain what was that event about. So if it's in my grandma's house and Robert is in the picture, during his trip, he went to my grandmother's house to have Turkish tea, to make it really, really customized at what's going on. So basically, it became like our love story almost. And the other way, my hidden agenda is okay, I'm spending so much time on it, finding the pictures, making it as a document. But at the end, I had to print this out as well. And once it's printed out, if I put a really great folder, that could be an easy gift for my daughter or son, my future child, when it becomes his or her 18 years of birthday gift. So very like not even an expensive gift, very sentimental gift. Since I put already so much effort on it, you can turn it to something meaningful. And that's what makes sense if this marriage is a real one as well.
It is funny you say that because when we do preparation for the interviews, I tell couples that now you have a romantic homework. You have to go through all the important dates, important events, and make sure you guys are on the same page. Because sometimes, even if the marriage is real, and especially if the marriage is real, people remember different things. You would be amazed how couples remember the same event with different conclusions with different people. So sometimes our minds play games on us, and we need to make sure that our story is straight because the immigration officer will be interested in the story. As far as the documentation is concerned, I think rental agreement, lease agreement is very important. Joint financial documents somehow is very important with USCIS. They think that the real couples commingle their funds. They use their monies among themselves. For you, that was not a problem. I think one of the factors why that was not an issue was because you were together for a very long time. Think about an application where the couple met only 6 months ago. They decided to get married immediately and then started this application. They would have less documentation of spending that time together. So the documentation must be more heavily involved in those kinds of applications. But because yours was a very long term relationship, I think some of the things were missing or not there where it's usually there. But that was not a problem because you could actually prove this together with other documentation.
forgot to mention this, but we already filed the tax together.
Yes,
So the banks are separated. However, when it comes to field the tax, and that's what we did common. So I remember we put as a joint document as well.
exactly.
Plus, Robert's mom wrote some sort of a letter. I don't remember what is it
Yeah,
called is the term, but that was also,
affidavit. It's called an affidavit.
yes, she
Yes.
did that one.
Okay. So, how long did it take for you to assemble all the things that we asked you to bring together? Do you remember? Was it a few weeks, maybe?
It was longer than that, but it's all on me.
Mhm.
All the directions, all the instructions were so clear. It was maybe like boom, boom, boom. However, with my doctoral degree and how it works was very busy time. And at that current time, I was also in the job market looking for jobs. So also writing my dissertation and teaching a class. That's the reason it took for me very, very long time to prepare. Another thing was needed related with the health, that I need to make sure that I have all the vaccines coming to the place to check. They were checking all the documentations, and anything is missing that I need to have that vaccine. Taking the picture, I was thinking that let me lose a little bit weight so that we could have those pictures. It all make it a little bit of delayed. Plus, I didn't lose weight, so that was a little bit mistake. I should have gotten in the very first day that I decided to prepare those documents. But all those small things and being a human being of delaying the things that makes you a little bit afraid, that was a situation in our case. However, if that's would be your focus and if you want to get it done, I have one friend that she did it in less than even 3 weeks. It was especially in the point of the deadline that if she submit at that current date, the money that she needs to pay is X amount. But if it's passing that date, it's going to be more than that. So she was like, I need to get it done because I don't want to pay that much more. So it's all up to you. The instructions are the same. It's
Yeah.
just
It's
based
all
on you.
about it's all about motivation and incentives, I
True.
guess.
That's true. That's so true.
When we were filing your application, I think Robert didn't have a steady job. So
Yes.
that brings us to the affidavit of support. Because his income was not steady, although he filled an affidavit of support form, we also used a joint sponsor. I want to talk a little bit about the joint sponsor because it is very relevant in marriage cases. Sometimes couples are very young, sometimes they're out of work, they cannot show that they meet the poverty guidelines according to USCIS instructions. So I want to ask you about the joint sponsor. Sometimes people find difficulty in finding a joint sponsor or even understanding who a joint sponsor can be. Your case had a joint sponsor. Was it a friend? Was it a relative?
It was we call him as a family friend, very close, that not from the blood, but from having that bond almost. So he is like Robert's uncle, and that's why. And he also lives in Colombia. In our joint documents, he has some pictures with us from all those gatherings. And whenever we bring this topic to him, he said, "Yes, just use me and all the financial documents that I could provide you. That's all fine with me." So probably we ask tax documents, his income, his assets, and he was all transparent with us. However, if that's the situation, the person that doesn't want to be that much transparent, that's why it's also good to have a lawyer so that that person can send all the documents to the attorney, so we are not going to be in that chain seeing all those financial reports. I think that's the other way of having the benefit of having the lawyer handling your case.
That's absolutely true. So a joint sponsor can be a friend, a relative. The important requirement here is he or she is a US citizen or a green card holder living in the US. So these are the requirements. And then once they fill out the affidavit of support, they need to provide documentation about their tax returns and income. So this has to be a person that you can trust and also meets the poverty guidelines. It is exactly like you're mentioning. Sometimes people don't want to show their finances to each other, but if there's an attorney involved, they can send everything in confidence, knowing that their friend is not going to know what the financial status is. Another good thing about having a lawyer is when you file the applications, receipt notices, biometric notices, approvals, green cards sometimes get lost in the mail. Some applicants reached out to me separately saying that their EAD cards were lost, their green cards were lost because they changed the addresses. So the advantage of having an attorney is you can have all of these important documents sent to your attorney's address, and also all the notices will be also copied to your attorney. So that's a very good advantage of having a lawyer. Now that brings me to how long the application took. So I have some notes here. I don't expect you to remember these dates, but this is what happened. So this was a case in South Carolina. You were living there at that time. We filed the application, I-130, 485, together with the employment authorization and advance parole, which is travel authorization, on September 30, 2024. The I-130 was approved in July of 25, so it's about 10 months on the I-130, but you received your EAD before on November 2024. That is amazing. You received your EAD in a month. That could be related to your occupation. I don't know because you are on PhD, but sometimes it's just pure luck because they looked at that application very fast. You received your travel authorization in March of 2025. So that would be about 6 months after filing the case. And your 485 interview was on July 3rd, 2025, which is about 10 months, I think, after the application. So the dates that I'm providing is just to give some idea to our followers about how long this took in 2024. Dates change, time frames change, but this is how long it took at that time. So let's talk a little bit about the interview. When you received the interview notice, what kind of preparation did you have for the interview?
Before interview, I think that would be something that I should mention that will help for explaining the process. However, after me, in my opinion, you would summarize it way better than me. So you can just cut me, omit that part, and just add whatever you are going to mention. So what happened in our situation is normally when you look at that website to show all the progress and updates, so it showed that it passed the interview first. And I was thinking that, oh, great, we don't need to have an interview. And I just don't remember when was it. However, after that passing the interview, it went all the way back again because I didn't have one flu. It was not a flu shot. One shot is missing. One vaccine is missing in the document. So how I understand what happened is normally that shot was not a required one when I applied. So I everything from that health center system, it was all went through well. However, even though it when it passed the interview and it's during the decision process, since probably they go through all the documents and they see one missing shot. So it went back and I had to have that shot. I had to include that health documents again. And when it comes to that point, then it asks for the interview. So normally it shows that I passed, but then it went back and it shows that now I need to have an interview. So I think you should summarize this better. And I think that needs to be there because normally the case that I put, in my opinion, even do not need any interview. The reason is all this health related thing that the required shot that I didn't have in my document.
Well, I mean, sometimes things change after you file the application. So if the medical requirements have changed, then they are now applying new medical requirements. They're going to ask for a new health examination. The interview does not necessarily happen because you were missing something on a medical report. They could have easily sent a request for evidence and asked for a medical examination without the need for an interview. Interview is something that they decide on their own by discretion. We used to receive less and less interviews during the Biden administration. With the Trump administration, the interview numbers are increasing. I can say almost all marriage cases are now receiving an interview notice. But like I said, I don't think it has to do with your health examination. Sometimes there is no interview. There's just an RFE, request for evidence, asking for more documents. Clients think that an RFE is bad. I don't necessarily think so, because if USCIS will approve the case without an interview, that RFE is a really good chance for you to give them updated documents so that they can waive the interview. So one of the reasons you receive an RFE is to not to have interview, for them to waive the interview. But you know this when you receive the RFE. Anyway, let's talk about the interview process. Once you get the interview notice, what kind of preparation did you have to do to go to the interview? Because I know it is sometimes stressful for people.
From your company, you already provided some possible questions that they may ask us. And we just start practicing with my husband. Even though he got bored for the many, many times, I was like pushing him. No, we need to do this. We need to be on the same page for those questions. And also, one very important practice that we had is with you, that you were very, very serious at that point, and you were saying that when I ask you a question, Damla, only you are answering, and Robert, when I'm asking you, oh, that's your turn to talk. And having that such a serious practice, in my opinion, help us a lot. Also helping us to recognize how important it is knowing those correct answers. I remember at that point, when you ask about our address, that includes all the zip codes, and I changed 9 places in the last 5 years. I was like, do I really need to remember those things? And you were saying yes, because this shows that you studied. Maybe Robert doesn't have to remember all those details, but you should. That was game changer advice at that moment. Then I start studying harder and harder. So that was about our practice thing. But other than that, also having all the documents ready, printing outs ready, having it in order, and I put the sticky notes on top of it, knowing that whenever what they ask from us, I'm just knowing, okay, this is a document that, and then that will make the process, in my opinion, faster during the interview process. But what else from the preparation? I think that's it. It's just practice. And there are so many questions, all those details. Yes, correct. But I make it kind of game and almost like a spending some fun activity together with my husband. And he has a different type of mindset telling me that, Damla, if we answer everything correctly, then it will know that we just studied, but this is not the real marriage. I was like, Robert, just please know the color of the wall, know what is my toothbrush brand. And he's like, I am buying those stuff to you. Of course, I know those things. So when it comes to that point of view, that was easier to him to remember those things. But yeah, the practice was needed, and I think we did great on that.
It is funny you bring this up, because sometimes couples are thinking the same way. They get offended that they are questioned about the reality of their marriage. What do they think about us? Would we do something really bad to fake a marriage? And well, I mean, they have to be that way because they are seeing a lot of fake applications. They are extremely trained. I'm talking about USCIS officers about these things. And don't forget, they only have 30 minutes to, at tops, 2 hours to figure out if this marriage is real. And they can only do that by going over the forms, looking at your body language, looking at your responses, and looking at your joint documents that you submit together with the application. So know that all USCIS officers would expect you to be prepared for this interview, even if it's a real marriage, because that shows that you are respectful to the system, that you respect the officer's time and also their knowledge and their expertise. So that's why I think bringing the couples to the same mindset is also a very important part of getting prepared for the interview, because without such an introduction or such explanation, sometimes people get the whole thing very wrong. I mean, I've heard people asking me if they are cornered or if they are questioned during the interview, can they just walk out of the interview, showing protest. Like I was like, no, you don't do that, because that's their job. They're going to question if this marriage is real or not, and it's your job to convince them that the marriage is real. And the biggest burden of proof is with the foreign spouse, because they are the ones who need to show that this marriage is bona fide. It's not the US citizen spouse or the green card holder, it's the foreign spouse. And that's why you are going to be questioned about the reality of the marriage. But having good documentation, being prepared for the interview, being respectful during the interview, answering only the questions that you are asked, these are very important things that you can be sure that you will be successful. Another important thing is, whatever you submitted with the application, you can update your folder online with USCIS, and you can also take those with you to the interview. I always tell my clients, there's no such thing as are these documents enough? There's always the question of what documents more can I produce, can I take with me to the interview? The more, the merrier. Maybe you're not going to ask, but if you're asked, then you can just pull out and show it to the officer. I think there was an address change issue for you. I think you were going to move from Carolina to Montana, if I remember correctly, as you were going into the interview. Can you tell us what happened with that part? Because address change, especially during the interview, is very important, because where are they going to send the card? How did you handle that situation?
So I was laughing at whenever you were mentioning anything related with interview, because in my opinion, our interview was a little bit hilarious. Like that should
Was it?
be one type of a sitcom in one type of a very fun documentation whatsoever. So whenever we, first of all, even though that was a real marriage, even though that I can consider myself as a well-educated person, like there is nothing more than having PhD in this academic life. Just because I'm a foreign and having that interview, someone is gonna questioning, that make me a little bit stressed. My husband tried to always like calm me down. Damla, it's gonna be okay. Do not worry about it. However, I was a little bit afraid if they put us in a different rooms.
Mm-hmm.
So whenever we entered, that the officer, should I call him as an officer?
Officer, yes, officer.
So the officer says, okay, let's have a seat. I was even thinking sitting somewhere even far from him, okay? And he even asked me, no, you're sitting here. And Robert, I was like, oh my God, they're even deciding where am I going to sit in this
Yeah.
interview. But I was, of course, respectful and nice. So I said, I had all the documents, and I was just relieved that, okay, we're in the same room. Like whatever it's going to happen, it's going to happen with my husband. That kind of relieved me a lot from starting that interview process. I will make that connection because that's also included in the
Okay.
interview process. That's
Okay.
what makes it
Okay.
our relationship is a real one.
Okay.
What happened is, okay, we sit, and then we, like, he was asking questions. It was, I don't want to say long time ago, but it was a very stressful time for me, that moving process, getting ready for the new job, finishing my dissertation, all the due dates. So that's still that moment, because of the stress and because of that's me focusing on let me do it correctly type of purpose, that the interview is a little bit blur. The only thing that I remember is the fun things. So he was asking my name, my surname, the legal name, first name, legal surname. And when he asked this, the same questions to Robert, Robert forgot to mention his middle name. So I was like, Anthony. And I had to do this. I couldn't control myself because he mentioned it something wrong. And the officer said, legal name that includes your middle name. And then Robert, okay, Robert Anthony Ballardine. And I was like, I know even the correct answer of the questions that they are asking, that includes your legal name.
Yeah.
But the one other fun thing is, Robert started having a little bit of conversation with the officer. So he asked, "Oh, so where are you from?" And I was like, shocked. He is the one needs to ask questions. It's not you. At the same time, what he asked, "Are you also from military?" Something like, I was like, "Oh my God, this is not happening the correct way. You shouldn't. You should be all silent and all respectful and just answer their questions." But right after interview, he said that I want to show him that he's not the one only asking the questions. I can ask as well.
That's not
Jesus, Jesus.
that's not
I
a good idea.
hope
No,
that it
no.
went well, but I think this is very risky because what I even heard from other people that yes, body language is important. However, you cannot touch your partner. You cannot do even just trying to prove that this is a real
Yeah,
relationship. You need to do all those things just by answering the questions and not putting so many details on it, only to the question. That was hard for me to only answering it without all those details because I'm a teacher, I need to start with the intro, the
yeah.
body, the conclusion, and repeat again.
Yeah, but
Well,
sometimes officers get very friendly, and that actually makes the applicants very comfortable. You usually need to give them a chance to initiate that kind of conduct. If they're going to be friendly, if they're going to be talking to you, it's better they start that kind of conversation. I mean, you shouldn't be the one asking the questions, etc. Because let's understand that officers are working under a lot of stress. They have a lot of cases that need to file on the same day. You're just one of these cases. They cannot devote all of their time to you. So that's why they're usually in a let's do this and then go to the next one mood. They have to be like that because they're handling a lot of cases. But if they want to be friendly, if they want to take some time to talk to you, then it is better if they initiate that kind of process.
that was his making the decision. I
Yeah.
was like out of it, out of it.
There was also an issue with the addresses, right? You were going to move from Carolina to Montana, and you didn't at the time of the interview, but you were going to move immediately after. How did you handle that address change situation?
So one of the joint documents that we provided also has the address that we are going to the rental license, rental document from Montana.
Okay.
So they know that when we are
New
going to
lease
start
agreement.
living in our new address, and
Yeah.
they already know what is the lease is going to end from Colombia. So they were all clear that we are going to leave Colombia and we are going to move to Montana.
Mhm.
So it was at the end of the interview because I remember that you told us bring this up to the interview so that you may ask whether they can send the green card to the lawyer, the company, or maybe they can send it to the joint person and then that person can send it to us. Or if it's not going to take more than 10 days, then that will be in good hands. So you don't need to change your address because if I change my address and if I'm not in Montana, then again, it is very blur.
Yes.
And so I just bring this topic up saying that this is what's going to happen, and Robert jump into the conversation while I'm talking, and he's saying, no, no, you're wrong. We can just ask them to submit to the lawyer company. That's okay. And I was like, no, Robert, if it's going to be in a week, that's okay, that we can just have it. So we start having a little, I don't want to say an argue, but it was a discussion.
Yeah.
But that was so obvious that wife and a husband talking together. The officer were just looking at us, and he said, okay, please let me talk. And then we were like, oh my God. But that was also a moment that we all know, okay, you guys are married. I'm not
Mm.
questioning this from now on. So what he told me that he is not even gonna make the decision. He said that I will file a document and then I'm gonna bring this to my supervisor and then she's gonna make the decision. So I was like, so we convinced you for nothing now? It's another person's hand still.
No, that doesn't mean that. It's just that once an officer is convinced that it is a real marriage or it's not a real marriage, they always have to get a supervisor approval. Sometimes
Yes.
They need to ask more questions. Sometimes a supervisor may bring something to their attention that they didn't realize. So always another pair of eyes, a supervisor's eyes,
I
is
see.
this, and there's a confirmation of it. But I think at the end of the day, they were able to produce your green card within less than 10 days, and you were able to
Yes.
get your green card before you moved to Montana, right? And
And all
all
that.
ended very well. Okay.
And what he mentioned is we will make sure to reveal the decision in 2 days. So
Oh,
I
okay.
was checking on it, and when it is just accepted, approved, I know that it will come in a week. So
Yeah.
that's why checking it, okay, approved, then we are good. That's
Yeah.
what happened in our case as well.
So if there is scenarios where your address is going to change, you will have a change in either the state or the address, and you're not going to be able to access the previous address, then it is best to bring these out and talk to the officer during the interview. It is the time to talk because they are the ones who's taking notes and making sure that the green card is delivered to you. Okay, so right now you have a 2-year valid green card. Do you know what's going to happen at the end of 2 years?
Before this green card status is going to be over, probably 6 months before, I just need to apply for, and again, the green card process, but this time it's going to be not having any condition type of thing.
So what happens is if you are married less than 2 years at the time you get the green card, your green card is going to be valid for 2 years, and it is called a conditional green card. You need to file a new application to remove the conditions of the residency within 90 days before the expiration of your green card. So there's a window of 90 days before the expiration of 2 years. During that window, you need to file this application. People usually call this getting the regular card, or changing your green card. Actually, it is removing the conditions of your green card. So we are coming to that date slowly. So we will do another application. It is best to maybe mention a naturalization application too, because if you have a green card for 3 years, and if you got it through your U.S. citizen spouse, and if you're still married and living together, then you can also file your naturalization application 3 years after you got the green card. So that's the
Mm,
next procedures we're going to handle with Damla. Okay,
yeah.
Damla, one final question maybe. Are there any recommendations from you to people who are thinking about filing for a green card? What to do, what not to do?
I think if you just have a lawyer, then this is the answer of the question, because they're going to handling what you need to do, what you shouldn't do. And in my situation, when I have all the questions, I know that when I send an email, at latest in 2 days, I'm going to receiving the response with knowing what I should do. And that was very, very helpful, because even there are some questions that doesn't make sense to me, and I was just knowing that, for example, normally I have the lease with another place, but I was living with Robert at that moment. I was still paying for my rent. Which address should I mention? Is that good that I keep that one, or changing, mentioning? So all those small questions that sometimes I need a different opinion, more professional advice. And that's the only thing that I would only recommend, is just having a lawyer and let them figuring out what is the correct way of approaching. But at the same time, I know that having a lawyer is not making sure that your case is going to approve. It's also listening to them. So when we had that practice with you, and when you mentioned all the important tips and tricks that we need to be careful for the interview, if we just hear about it but not listen carefully, and also we not put it into an action, then again, that's for nothing. It's all about trusting this process and working as a team, even, I would say. I think that was very helpful. So for the second application with the removing the condition, okay, I know what to do. It's just so simple from now on. Whatever like your company or your employees will tell me to do, getting the documents ready, This time I'm gonna lose weight. So in the picture that I'm gonna look a little bit skinnier, but
You have
it's all
time.
I
You
have. I
you're
do.
fine either way. Don't worry about it.
Yeah, so that's the only thing that I need to figure it out because the rest is all on your hands.
Yeah.
That's what makes us very relieved.
That's a very good thing to say in closing, because sometimes, well, most of the time, people are really worried because it's their status, it's their green card. There's something I say to my clients. I say, you hired us, you retained our services so that we can stress out, not you. So it is good for you to follow up the process, but let the stress be handled by us. As long as you do what we tell you to do as far as the documentation, timing, and being on time in applications and providing documentation, you should be fine. And the other thing is, maybe one final warning would be from me to our followers, is don't ever think about filing a fake marriage or a sham marriage. Don't do that. It is very bad. You will have a very bad case. You will probably be denied. You will have no benefits whatsoever going forward with the USCIS. Yes, sometimes maintaining status is difficult. Sometimes waiting periods are long, but do it the right way, the way that the system wants you to do. So that would be one final thing that I would say, because when people come to me and I realize that there were problems in the marriage or that it was not a real marriage, I never touch the case. It's we can't do that, because don't forget, your attorneys have reputations with USCIS. We can lose our licenses. We cannot take those cases. Don't
Mhm.
even try and go with a fake marriage, for you, for your lawyer, or for the system. It's not good for anybody. Damla, I want to thank you for joining us. The conversation was great. All the stories that you tell. I know Robert. If Robert was here, this would probably be a 1 hour and a half conversation, maybe, right? Twice the time we spent on filming this, because he's a very funny person. Also, he is very kind. Let's do this again, hopefully after you get your naturalization, maybe, huh?
Okay, definitely.
All right, Damla, thank you so much for your time. Is there anything else you want to say while closing?
I just want to thank you for all the work that you did and your team did for helping us to get this green card approved. And it was, in our case, it was very lucky that we have you handling this situation. So, all the other stress that I was handling, this is the one that is the easy, I would say, if I was not delaying to get those documentation ready. So, that would be my
Yeah.
recommendation that, yeah, do not delay, just get it done when you have time and put all your effort and focus on this filing the documents correctly, and the rest is going to be smoother. Yes.
Well, I want to thank you, because you were one of the really good clients that we had, and it was fun working with you. And at the same time, clients who know what goes on behind the scenes and how long this takes and how much time we spend to make sure these applications are great, that makes a difference. And at the same time, we feel very good about it when the applications are approved, because we now feel like we're part of the family, and we have some kind of effect, even though little, in your lives in the US. So that makes us very happy. When we get an approval, that's what makes our days go very well. So thank you so much for coming.
You're welcome. You're welcome.
Yes, this was my conversation with Damla about her status in the US, her journey in the US, coming here as an F-1 student, falling in love, getting married, getting the green card, and now she is teaching at Montana. So I hope to do more videos like this with my clients where they talk about their experiences. If you have any questions, please shoot it in the comment section. I will try to respond to them as soon as possible. And at the same time, please like the video and subscribe to the channel. I hope to see you in my next video. Take care.